Today is a pretty weird day for data security and privacy on the internet. One of the largest startups ever, reaching an evaluation of $5.8 billion with ties to one of the most successful founders in the world ever, has started to file for bankruptcy. And I think, as you can see by the title, I'm talking about 23andMe. Unlike some startups that have had this level of failure, I'm talking about like WeWork and other companies, this is a lot more concerning since 23andMe has some of the most sensitive data about a person. I'm talking about that good, extremely valuable DNA data. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about or aren't familiar with 23andMe's services, they're a genetic testing company that offers services like finding out what your ancestry is and what kind of health risks you might have just with some swabs of your DNA. So they send a kit to your home, you spit in it, and they're able to find out all that information from that DNA.
We get to spit?
You get to spit. Fill the collection tube to just above the fill line. And remember, don't eat, drink, smoke, chew gum, brush your teeth, or use mouthwash for at least 30 minutes prior to providing your saliva sample. After you've spit, securely snap the cap to the tube, which releases the DNA stabilization buffer solution.
And at times, they were really accurate. There was actually a case of a woman sending in a 23andMe test just for fun to find out about her ancestry and decided to opt in to the little health portion to see what she might be dispositioned to due to her DNA. When the results came in, it turned out she had a mutation that gave her a 72% likelihood of getting breast cancer. Compare that with the average likelihood of 12%. She, of course, after receiving this terrible news, made sure to double check these results by going to a genetic testing clinic, and the results were confirmed. And of course, this is not the only case coming out of 23andMe. There probably have been thousands and thousands of people who got similar kind of news about their genetic makeup through this company. Now the question is, what happens to all of the customers' sensitive data since 23andMe is filing for bankruptcy? And honestly, this is a good case study on what happens to data once any startup fails. I'll just be direct here, since I know some of you don't want to watch the entire video and you just want the answer, and some of you might be 23andMe paying customers and you might want to know the answer as quick as possible. All data from customers that have not opted in or manually requested their data be deleted will be sold to a third-party vendor. This includes the digital DNA records and the spit that was collected from customers. I wasn't able to get specific info on who this third-party company might be, but it's going to go to a bidding process, and whoever puts up some serious chunk of change will grab all this data, and that makes me even more concerned since they really want it. And in one of the funniest twists I've seen from this story, the former CEO of 23andMe, Anne Wojcicki, is placing a bid herself. So yes, the CEO who ran this company into bankruptcy is trying to buy it for pennies on the dollar. And who knows, she might get away with it because her ex-husband was actually Sergey Brin, one of the co-founders of Google. So you know what? The audacity might pay off. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, there has to be some consumer protection for this. Not anyone could just grab this up. Well, you're gonna be a little surprised on what I'm about to tell you. If any of you have worked as software developers for health insurance companies, for hospitals, or any kind of health organizations, you might have had to make all of your applications HIPAA compliant. HIPAA is a law that makes sure that sensitive patient data is secure. It includes any application you develop at a hospital or any other organization. All of our apps have to be patient secure. However, 23andMe does not have to follow this law. HIPAA seems to be a lot more lenient with tech products like Apple Watches or fitness training apps, and sadly 23andMe can fall under the same category. Now 23andMe is claiming that the new owners, whoever they might be, 23andMe doesn't know that either, will take care of this data and will follow all laws accordingly. But I'm going to put some serious doubt on that statement because 23andMe can barely handle their own data. In 2023, hackers were able to get into 23andMe and steal 6.9 million people's genetic data. They did this by logging into user accounts using old passwords that they scraped off of the internet. They then used a built-in 23andMe feature called DNA Relatives that allows you to see other people's information that might be ancestrally connected to you. This information could be their zip code, birth year, family member names, and other information. The hackers then targeted people of a certain demographic and sold their data on the black market. I'm saying all this to show how little compliance 23andMe really follows. If any of you working at a HIPAA compliant company tried to propose a feature like this, that idea would get axed instantly, or it would at least have so much red tape that was infeasible. If 23andMe is skirting regulations this hard, I doubt any third-party vendor will do a better job. However, if you're a 23andMe customer, don't worry just yet. You might still be able to delete your data. The California Attorney General has released a report on what to do. Luckily, you can do this all online, and I'm going to leave the instructions up here just in case any of you need to follow, so make sure to pause and go through all of it. Though at the time of recording this video, 23andMe had so many users trying to delete their data that the website went down. And also, I'm not sure that this will get rid of the spit samples that you might have sent in to 23andMe. Now, 23andMe is in a unique position since they deal with such sensitive data, but startups fail all the time, and this user data is rarely talked about. For example, there was a mobile payment startup called Klinkle with some serious investors backing it, including Andreessen Horowitz, Intel Capital, Intuit, and other big names. It was one of the first mobile wallets. You could connect your credit card and debit card information to it and just make payments straight from your phone. But as you can tell from the fact that you've never heard of it, it was completely destroyed by Apple Wallet and Google Wallet, though not before attracting hundreds and thousands of customers who linked their credit card, debit card information to it. Eventually, they went bankrupt and sold the finance data they collected from their customers to third-party vendors. And if some of you are old enough, you may have been victims to the great Klinkling yourself. Even though I never used Klinkle myself, and I'll be honest, I can't name the amount of websites I probably signed up to, gave some data to, and that was probably sold off somewhere without me knowing. And as sad as this makes me, this is where our European developer brethren have us beat. Under GDPR laws, user data cannot just be flagrantly sold. The contracts signed from one company don't automatically go over to this new third party. And don't get me wrong, GDPR has made UI experiences awful with the millions of pop-ups coming up every time you access a site. But in my opinion, the US should adapt some of these laws, making it a lot harder to just sell and buy user data. And as developers, we should make it as easy as possible for users to delete their data. This means making sure it's deleted from every data storage solution we're currently implementing, and making the UI as intuitive as possible, making it a one-click solution to delete all of the user's data. Though this applies more so to our own solo projects rather than large organizations, because I'm not ignorant to the fact that you really don't have control over these kind of features, and most likely it's a top-down type of approach where your manager tells you you have to implement it this sort of way. Though I think 23andMe is an eye-opening experience for some of us, knowing that whatever data we give to these companies, they might not exist in the future, and we really don't have any control of where that data is going to end up. Now, before my saliva samples are leaked to the internet showing that I sit 16 hours a day straight every single day non-stop, please make sure to like and subscribe.